Is that what you needed?
I'm ready.
I will give you this. When I do it, you smile.
I hear the drum roll.
You're not staring at your phone.
Face is on.
Welcome to the Midday Show. I am Jeff Everett. He is Mark Messina. Forgotten Tales of Pennsylvania, the Blue Collar Book Series review. There's some really neat stuff here. I'm going to not quiz you, but I'm going to ask you if you've heard of some of this stuff because I had not heard of a lot of it.
I've heard of everything.
There you go. A spring break state of emergency, a neat national story, but let's not kid ourselves. Mark just wants to talk about this. It's an opportunity to talk about all of his spring break experiences. That's what's really going on here. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Which are disappointing.
Disappointing. And then PA's game changer, we might get to this, the Marcellus Shale, natural gas, oil prices. Pennsylvania could be in the driver's seat here a little bit. Economically, financially, we could be at the forefront of oil here in America, depending how it plays out. So we might get to PA's game changer at the end, depending on how much time we have. Southern Columbia girls, we have in the background right now on the screen. They are down 6. It's almost halftime. Maybe some March Madness stuff. Before we get to all of that, Mark, how are you feeling today?
What is this? Maybe some March Madness stuff. What happened yesterday? Gonzaga lost. What did Mark say? Gonzaga was going to lose. I'm not even going to make a big deal about it because it's not even newsworthy because I say it every year.
I'm going to start the show with it, but I'm not going to make a big deal about it.
So I'll just tell you again, just for all, next year, guess who's going to be ranked in the top 5 all year? Gonzaga. Guess who's going to be like a number 1 or number 2 seed going to the tournament? Gonzaga. Guess who's not going to win the tournament next year? Gonzaga. If you fill out your bracket and you put Gonzaga as the champion, I don't know what more I can do to help you. I don't know.
But you're not saying the same thing about Arizona. You're not saying the same thing.
Because Arizona has a chance because they won before.
I guess. I'm just
Miles
saying,
Simon. See, you're not even old enough to remember
I remember Miles. Michael Dickerson. Like, are you kidding? Like, test me.
What
test
year was
me.
94?
Maybe. But here's...
No, because 94 Arkansas.
Lorenzen Woods, anybody? Just don't be... You're on my lawn.
Get
off my lawn. Anyway. I'm just saying, you're not calling out any of the other 1 seeds for losing. Just Gonzaga. No 1 seed is alive. Correct me if I'm wrong.
No, Kansas.
Kansas
didn't get a chance to lose.
Yes.
No, I'm just saying that everyone. Gonzaga. Did you? And listen, I like Mark Few. Mark Few came out gave a very good interview after the game, and he's like, and again, even though they did a lot of great things, they had a great year. Like there's a million positive things to look at if you are. That's where the basketball game is, by the way, if you're wondering that. If you're Gonzaga, but he says, look at everyone else. No one else could hang on to number 1. We were the only team that got to number 1 and could hang on to it. I said, yeah, because you're playing Portland. It's not the Trailblazers.
All right.
You're playing San Diego.
We've heard this story before.
You just lost to Arkansas.
Yes.
Not the best team in the SEC. You tell me if they were in a real conference that they would be 28-2, and they wouldn't be.
But you just did it again. I brought up all the other 1 seeds that lose, and then you talk about Gonzaga for 30 seconds. So the Blue Collar Bookseller review. If you have not heard of this column on NorthcentralPa.com, we just started running it. I'm going to say in the last 3 months or so.
Yeah, it was over the winter. It was recent.
Yeah, so, it's a 2022 thing for us. The most recent one has gotten a lot of run, and I found it, after I read it, I find it kind of fascinating. It's called The Forgotten Tales of Pennsylvania is a book that was reviewed by our Kevin Coolidge, who does
He didn't write it.
He didn't write it. He reviewed it. And he started talking about some of the things that have happened, and I did not know this. So, for example, he says, about the Declaration of Independence in Philadelphia.
Is that my first quiz? Yes. I'm 1 for 1.
You do know about that. 1 for 1. Did you know that there was a dispute between the British and the French during the French and Indian War over Pennsylvania? You probably did. You probably subconsciously, somewhere in the back of your brain, you knew that. For Pennsylvania, it was just a war. They were just fighting over the territory.
I know the French and Indian War.
There you go. Yes. Okay. So they were essentially fighting over the land. However, did you know that there was an act of cannibalism that occurred in May of 1872 at the Pennsylvania House Hotel in the city of York?
As a matter of fact, I did not.
No, you didn't. I was going to say, if you knew that one, I would be
York?
very, very... Yes, in York.
So, okay. This is grotesque.
I'd have to Google
know
into it. It's in the book. You have to dig into it. But I'm just testing you to see how many of these things you knew.
Okay, go ahead.
If anybody
I did not know of cannibalism.
If anybody in the comments has heard of these things, please comment and let us know. It was the act of cannibalism, May of 1872, Pennsylvania House Hotel in the city of York. Apparently that was a real thing that happened. Did you know in Bradford County, they discovered a human skull with horns in Bradford County. That is a real thing that happens. Well, probably not recently.
Well, could have been. I don't know. When was the book published?
This is the part that I'll never understand.
Why couldn't that have been recently?
I can't believe I'm explaining this to you. You're like the clickbait king, and now I have to explain to you the way someone, like, there's no way you would have heard about it if it was recently. Do you disagree with that?
No, you're probably right.
Yes. So at some point, they discovered a human skull with horns in Bradford County. Again, if anyone's heard of this stuff, please let us know. This book was written by historian Thomas White. He goes into all these different aspects and things in Pennsylvania history that people have kind of forgotten, for better or worse, but there are written accounts of these things in newspapers and journals and different things that have been certified.
You know who we should have on the show?
Who's that?
Thomas White.
It would be really, really cool to have Thomas White on. The book contains 160 of Pennsylvania's lesser-known tales. Some of them do include the supernatural. Like, for example, there is a recorded story of a werewolf of Clinton County by Henry Shoemaker. Have you ever heard of this?
What makes it a recorded story? So some dude says he saw a werewolf. Essentially, yes. Okay. But it's a difference. Who was the dude that saw it?
Henry Shoemaker.
What was Henry Shoemaker's blood alcohol level
when he saw the werewolf? It's a very good question, especially in Clinton County. It's a fair question. The werewolf of Shenango Valley.
We should say you went to college in Clinton County.
So I did. Oh, I'm allowed to say that.
So you're allowed to.
I'm absolutely allowed to say.
You weren't just taking a shot at Clinton County.
I was participating. Like, let's not.
You may have seen a werewolf.
Yes, I probably saw a werewolf or two on a couple of nights in Clinton County. There's also stories here about witches, ghosts, monsters, big cats. There's also a crazy story about a leprechaun that is credited with saving a child's life from the 1800s. So some of this...
Well, I believe, because everyone knows when it comes to acts of bravery, leprechauns are very, very high on the list.
Aren't they supposed to be hard to catch? Like, don't they run away?
Impossible to catch.
Don't they steal your gold and run away? Or do I have the complete story about leprechauns wrong?
Yes. Although they're stupid about where they bury it, because they always bury it right at the end of the rainbow. Like, that would be...
So you can always find... Have you ever found the end of a rainbow?
I have not.
It keeps moving away from you.
Isn't it crazy how that happens?
It keeps moving away from you. So there's also... You'll like some of these too. There is a tale of spontaneous combustion in counter sport in the book.
Nice.
Have you ever, like... That's creepy. Have you ever dug into spontaneous combustion? You don't think it's real?
No. Well, no, let me backtrack. Yes,
yeah.
But there's like a match or a bomb or a flamethrower.
It's weird. It's really weird. Have you ever seen like pictures?
There's no way you could just burst into flames right now.
I know, but then like nothing else is burnt. Like the bed frame's fine. Like the side and the bottom of the mattresses are fine. It's really weird. It's really, really weird.
I have seen pictures of that. I have clickbaited myself into that before. I do get what you're saying there.
It is bizarre. So that's in counter sport. You can find a story. There's a report of raining snails in Chester County. Oh yeah, you didn't recognize. There's a report of raining snails in Chester County. Have you ever heard about that before?
Raining snails.
Yeah.
Oh, I've heard these things. I haven't heard of snails in Chester County, but like fish.
Yes, yeah.
Because of hurricanes and the winds are so strong, and like if a tornado goes over, maybe not a hurricane, maybe it's a tornado, then it sucks them out, and then obviously when it gets to the point that it drops them. So that has happened.
There's a story about the day that it rained snails in Chester County.
I'll bet that's what happened.
It's probably pretty good. There's a story about a goldfish who was credited with putting out a fire in Philadelphia. And then this is probably the neatest one. There's a Frenchman's gold rumored to be buried near counter sport. So anybody in the upper corner of our coverage area,
let's go.
There, you can
read this book. What are you doing this weekend?
I have a shovel.
I have one too.
We can read this book. It's gold, and it's in God's country and counter sport. So again, if you're interested in this stuff, find the book. I'm actually I think I'm going to get the book because there's too many stories in here. It's too many Google searches to try to dig into and find.
Well, and the beauty of it is it's like the book. Did I take that book home? Because I meant to. The one that we got from Joe Smith. I bought it, but written by our film critic, Joe Smith, that has 300 of the best movies you've never heard of.
Okay.
This is how many stories from Pennsylvania?
I think there was 160 in the book. They're all kind of like short, concise stories.
So you've got, you don't have to sit down and read it from start. You can pick and choose, and you can.
Yeah.
So yes, it is like old-fashioned clickbait.
A little bit. It is old-fashioned. That's a great way of putting it. It's the toilet book, as I always say.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, absolutely.
So again, and there's some other stuff in here. There's a dam disaster. There's circus accidents.
Wait.
FBI informant.
Is that a dam disaster or a damn disaster?
Well, I would argue what's the difference is what I would say.
True. Good point.
And then the last thing that he lists here, there's a story about an exploding rattlesnake in the Appalachian Mountains. Yeah, so really, really neat. Again, we should reach out to him and have him come on one day, because I bet you he would tell some great stories. Thomas White, he is a historian, and the book is Forgotten Tales of Pennsylvania. You can read the review on NorthcentralPa.com. That was done by Kevin Coolidge for us.
Really neat. All that stuff of those 160 stories, because this stupid stuff is right up my alley. I would read 145 of them and be intrigued, and then 15 of them I would call BS. Like the exploding rattlesnake and the leprechaun saving a life.
I think that's my favorite thing about it is like it gauges, like on a scale of 1 to 10, there's some stories that like in the did it happen or not happen. Right. There's some on here that are probably like 8, 9, 10. Like we know factually these things, but there's also some folklore and some, like I don't want to call them fairy tales, but some legends, some fables.
Wasn't it the fish that saved Pittsburgh? Wasn't that the movie?
Yeah, I think you let me borrow that one too, didn't you?
No, I did not. I don't have that
let me borrow.
And I'm not letting you borrow anymore, because you borrow them, they never come back.
I'll watch them eventually. I just haven't watched them yet.
Incidentally, I do want to tell you this, not to go off on a tangent. Someone my age was talking to someone who actually graduated in my graduating class, who said to me, "I don't even own a DVD player." And I said, "I work with a guy like that, but he's like 50 years younger than me." And she said the same thing. She's like, I just ran it. If I wanted, I ran it off Comcast. She's like, I can't play a DVD in my house.
Yeah.
I can't imagine the backwards society that can't play a DVD in their house.
I can play it in my house. Like I can play it on my laptop, or like, I just can't put it on a TV, or like, I just don't have a DVD player.
Can you plug your laptop into a TV?
I could HDMI it to the thing for sure. That's just not how I typically do it.
It's not how you roll.
It's just not. I mean, I 100% could do it. If I had to do it, I could make it happen.
If you had to, you could.
I could absolutely make it happen. Spring break.
Now I feel even worse that you don't watch these movies that I tell you to watch.
Why? Because I could do it.
Because you could watch them if you really
could do it.
If you tried at all. With like 30 seconds of effort, you could do it.
It just feels like you're giving me a chore. I don't know how else to. That's the politest way that I can say it. It just feels like a chore a little bit.
Chore. Do you have this when people give you a movie and they're like, "Oh, you need to watch this. It's good," and you're like, "Yeah, I'm kind of in a no-win here."
Most of the time when people give me recommendations, I'm very willing to try, especially like pop culture recommendations, like music, movies, that kind of stuff. I'm very willing to try it, because I just like, you and I have talked about this. I like the best of stuff. Like I don't like rock music, but when I hear like good rock, I'm like, oh, this is great. Like this, and same thing with even movies. Like I don't love scary movies, but like when I see a really good, I'm like, this is awesome. Like this is the best.
You should watch Earl Manigault, because he's the best basketball player.
Okay, yeah, I'll put it in. I'll pop it in at some point. Sometime it'll make it happen. A spring break state of emergency. I was reading this story to you, and you kind of fell in love with it right away. Miami Beach is declaring a state of emergency. I shouldn't laugh, because there have been casualties, and it's much more serious than that. Miami Beach declares a state of emergency following outbreak of violence during spring break. They've had a couple of shootings in crowded areas. There has been, I don't know the total number of casualties. Now, this isn't in one incident or one night. This has been spread throughout the past couple of weeks as spring breakers have migrated down to Miami Beach to enjoy their time off. It's very unique. It's never been done before that a state of emergency has been declared, and the cause is it's not weather, it's not, politics. It's
20,000 drunken idiots.
Yes. Very unique.
Yeah, I have no spring break stories because I was playing baseball. My best spring break story, which I will tell you now, we were in Florida on a spring break baseball trip with Susquehanna, and we had to go like an hour to get to like a town where there were other college kids.
Mm.
And so we drive an hour, and we played the next morning at 10 or 9 or whatever, and we had to get back, and the bars closed at 2 and all this stuff. And we literally, whatever time we were leaving, it's 1 o'clock, and we're like, dude, we gotta get back. So we played. The one kid thought he was hooking up with his chick, and he was like, just go without me, I'll find my way back. And it's an hour.
Sure.
And sure enough, we got up in the morning, and there he was. And we're like, how did you do it? And he said, before you left, I talked to the girl. I said, we're not staying that far from here. Can you give me a ride home? And she said, sure. So on the ride, he kept saying, oh, it's just a little bit further, just a little bit further, just a little bit further for an hour. So this poor girl drove him an hour, and then she had to drive back an hour.
Right.
But like,
it's a rough spring break.
The guts of college, of a college kid to just be like, no, and this is the 90s. Nobody has phones.
Sure.
Nobody has. You can't do anything. He would have been marooned.
Well, I guess like the ignorance to just not care that you're dragging somebody an hour out of their way. The callousness and the self-absorbedness to be like, I'm putting her out a little bit. Yes.
And but the aspect of just like, no, you go, I'll make it. It's like, really
crazy. So
that's my best friend.
No, that's pretty good.
It didn't even involve me.
That's pretty good. So Miami Beach, what they're going to do is they're actually putting in a curfew. They're basically saying people have to be off the streets by midnight, and they're actually in some places they're making them stop selling alcoholic beverages as early as 6 p.m. to try to curb some of this. So I don't know. I don't really have any issue with it. There is some. I think maybe there's an ageism conversation to have, but at the same time, also, like, if people are acting like idiots, it doesn't matter how old they are. So I don't know. The mayor came out and said, like, yes, the goal, like, this is 100% against young people. Like, they're making poor decisions, and we're trying to curb it. Like, we do not want them here, is essentially what the mayor of Miami Beach said.
Well, my immediate thought was I didn't know Miami was a spring break. Like, when I was a kid, which was 30 years ago, it was, there was Daytona Beach, there was Fort Lauderdale, there was Panama City. Those are kind of the Florida places. Then you go out west, you had like South Padre Island and stuff like that. But I didn't know Miami.
Yeah.
A1A was. But my first two thoughts, the thoughts of this, the story's obviously ridiculous. There were 6 people shot. Are there 6 people dead?
I have to look it up. I don't know the exact numbers here, and I don't have them in front of me, so I don't want to just throw out numbers. There was a small number of casualties during a shooting, but this is, if you don't mind me just taking over for a second, there's shootings in Miami Beach year round, and I'm not saying that makes it right or wrong. I'm just saying, like,
are there though?
You don't think so? You don't think that there's, in any major metropolis, you don't think that there's shootings happening like bi-weekly? Or I'm sorry, not bi-weekly, but every other week.
That's speculating. That's a fair question. Because we always hear the numbers of like Chicago, that there's 32 a weekend.
But even outside of Chicago, like even Harrisburg or Philadelphia or like Scranton, like any place where there's a metropolis, like shots are fired monthly, like every other week. Like there's a call about like shots being fired.
6 shootings in the past how many days?
Yes. So I get that. Like they have an influx of people. They're drunk. They're making poor decisions. I get all of that. I'm just simply saying, like, I do think there's an aspect here of, as a city, like, this is coming. This is not the first time spring breakers have come to Miami Beach.
Correct.
Like, are you prepared? Are there protocols in place? Everything else. It feels like this is a jump to try to make up for the fact that it doesn't seem like they were ready for this.
Maybe.
So instead of like having things in place and protocol, now we have to go to not selling alcoholic beverages at 6 p.m. or we have to have a curfew at midnight because like we have to figure out a way to get back in front of this.
Well, I think, this year's gone. And I think what they're trying to do is they're trying to make it so people are like, Miami's going to suck because there's a curfew. They stop selling
That's exactly what they're doing.
So this is all in preparation of next year. The first thoughts that are just ridiculous is a lack of, and like I said, I've never been to spring break proper. Mm-hmm. I've been on baseball trips to spring break, but that's it just seems like there's a genuine lack of accountability for people who are supposed to be intelligent and that they think there are no ramifications for their actions.
Sure.
It's almost a mini aspect of January 6th.
Yeah.
That all these people stormed in the Capitol building and didn't think they would be arrested.
Right. You also have people doing it for the first time after not doing it for 2 years.
Yeah, but in college, I wonder how many people make multiple college spring breaks. Here's the thing that I think college spring break.
Wait, time out. You don't think college people go to multiple spring breaks?
Do you think they go all 4 years?
Oh my God. I don't think everybody goes all 4 years, but do I think there are people who go 2, 3, 4 years? Absolutely. I think there's people that go 5, 6, 7, 8 years.
And they're college students all 8 of those years.
Think
you might be right.
You and I have joked. The best time of my life was like 24, 25, when like I had family and friends like going to school and state college and stuff like that, because like I had a little money in my pocket.
A couple bucks.
I had a little money in my pocket, and I kind of knew what was like. I knew like this is when you leave the bar, and this is like I had a better understanding of the whole aspect of it. But I was mature enough to now like understand it. So like, do I think there's 22 to 25-year-olds like still going to spring break? Absolutely.
The worst part of going back to college is you have like no home base. Once you don't have a dorm room, you don't have an apartment, you don't have like you go back and you're just kind of wandering. And you might have a hotel over there, but there's that dead time where you're just sitting in a restaurant. You're sitting,
I get your point.
That's the aspect.
Yeah. But that's if you're going, like, are you going back every weekend, or are you just like visiting?
No, but even when you're there.
Okay.
For like, if you're back for reunion or whatever, you just.
Yeah. See, I think if you go back once, it's whatever. Like, it's not that big of a deal.
Right.
Like, but yeah, if you're going back like monthly. Yeah.
Well, like a bunch of buddies of mine, there were 3 of us that went back for homecoming last year. And I don't know why they went. It was somebody's 25th, whatever. But the hotel was like 10 minutes down the road.
Sure.
So we did go to the hotel once. We went to the football game, and then we went to the hotel, and then we went to dinner, and after dinner we went to a bar, and then but there's not like when you're local and you have that place you can just go.
Yes.
And then you can go again. And so
anyway,
so my first ridiculousness is that these kids think there's no ramifications for their actions.
Yeah.
My second is that someone made a comment about that they think it's unfair because it's racially targeted. And I think it was the mayor, whoever spoke. He's like, it's basically targeted at all the idiot young people that are shooting at each other.
Yeah.
So that, we try to turn it political, we try to turn it racial, and he's just like, no. We're just shutting it down because we don't want these these barbarians. We don't want them here. I don't care what color they are. I don't care any of that.
I just love that. Like he just flat out was like, this is against young people.
Yes.
Like there's nothing. He's like, it's not about what color they are. It's not about how rich they are. Like this is about young people doing stupid things.
We are discriminating against dumb young people. That's basically what
you had a mayor in I guess like I wouldn't call Miami Beach like a national city. However, I would argue like Miami Beach mayor has to be like top 100 prominent mayors.
Well,
right?
and I'm guessing
and he's just flat out is saying like young people, we don't want you here.
Miami Beach is separate than Miami?
I would assume.
That's what I would guess too.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But you get my point.
Yes,
like
absolutely. Absolutely.
He just flat out like, do not come here. We don't want you here. So I found that really interesting as well. Anything else?
Well, I wonder now, just to take it how many of the businesses are like, no, shut up. We want to.
Oh, a lot. Well, so in the report, there are several businesses that are not thrilled. There are a couple of businesses that, again, it feels like they're trying to get back in front of it because it's not like the one bar owner essentially said like 11 p.m. fine, 10 p.m. fine. But like they're trying to tell me I need to close at 6 p.m.
Right.
And so they're like, you're taking away my business.
Right.
Like you're like, there's no reason for me to have a building here if I can't sell alcohol from 6 to 10 p.m.
Right.
So yeah, I sure there are people that are kind of looking at them like figure this out because we have to be able
to figure it out better than this.
Yes.
Because
this isn't
I'm sure
the solution.
Yes, I'm with you on that.
Southern Columbia down 6, about 2 minutes to go in the third quarter here in the girls' state championship. You already hinted at Gonzaga a little bit with the March Madness stuff. Is there anything else? We have the PA Game Changer. We can save that for Monday, though, if you want to. The Marcellus Shale, Pennsylvania.
Yeah, let's save that for Monday if you want. Krzyzewski won his 100th tournament game last night as they rallied to win. Tonight, St. Peter's is the early game.
Okay.
I think they are I think There's 2 games at 7 something and 2 games at late, almost 10 o'clock.
Okay.
And they're one of the 7s against Purdue.
Okay.
They have Purdue. So everyone in the world is rooting for St. Peter's except heartless people
From Purdue.
who root for it. Yes. If you're not like a Purdue alum, you're rooting for St. Peter's.
If you don't have a Boilermaker mug in your house.
There's it is fun. It's been really fun.
Did you see there was a video of St. Peter's walking out to their bus?
The actual St. Peter? Oh, the team. Okay.
The team.
Okay.
They're walking out to their bus. They do not have their school logo on their warm-ups. And so someone made the comment that they think they actually were trying to save money, or they didn't have the money to actually get their own branding on their travel gear.
So they just bought.
They just have like generic Adidas, like
in the right
sweatpants that match with the hoodie. Yes.
Interesting.
And go. And there's no St. Peter's branding on them at all. So someone made the comment like, if you're St. Peter's, you had 4 days to figure this out.
But hold on. No. Because if you're the team, you're not changing.
Probably no, right? Superstition-wise, just who you are, everything else. But someone did make the comment, like somebody, like an alumni, a marketing, somebody missed the boat.
Well, but just think of how much stuff they've sold.
You think so?
Yeah.
Just because they're the Peacocks?
If you're an alumni, like you have hopped on board. I remember back was Alizé the first time that Newman made a run kind of deep into the state playoffs? Like I knew Newman graduates who don't even like sports, who were going to these basketball games.
Sure.
So there are St. Peter's alum who have no idea where the gym was on campus.
Sure.
And they're buying stuff now, and they're having house parties tonight. And especially for them, it's Friday night. Like Thursday at 7 o'clock is cool, like the early games last night, because it's Thursday's always been like a big TV night. Sure. But you still have to go to work Friday. Tonight, this is it.
I want to look up real quick because I like there's a funny situation here where someone at some point had a conversation about what nickname the school should have.
Right.
And somebody threw out the Peacocks. And somebody in that meeting had to be like, yeah, it's not going to matter. No one's going to know that we're the Peacocks. And in hindsight now, it's one of the greatest decisions that the school has ever made.
You think? It's that great?
If they were the St. Peter's Cougars, this story loses 10% of its edge, 15%. Some of the beauty of this is the mascot is a peacock. This is like a bad Comedy Central sketch, like a Jordan, like a Key and Peele, like made up school sketch. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I did tell someone asked, and I said, well, because peacocks are native to South Jersey. And actually Googled it, and they're like, no, they're not. I said, of course they're not. I just made that up. That would be an interesting. Did you ever hear Youngstown State is the Penguins? Did I tell you this story? How they got there? They were going. This is the legend that I heard, but it makes perfect sense.
Okay.
They were going. Their basketball team was coming to a game once upon a time, and I don't know what. They might not have even had a nickname, but their bus. There was a storm, and their bus broke down wherever, or it got stuck and it wouldn't start. So they had to unload, grab their bags, and walk to the arena.
And they waddled?
And they said in the distance, because the people, it was either at the hotel or the arena.
Okay.
And they're like, I wonder if they're going to make it. I wonder if their people. And they said they could see this whole group coming in the distance. And they said from a ways it looked like a bunch of penguins waddling toward us.
And this is a true story.
That's what I heard.
Okay.
And I heard it from a guy who went to Youngstown. Because I was like, you're in Ohio. Why do you have penguins in Ohio? And that was the legend. Well, Notre Dame back in like 1900 whatever.
Yeah.
I think they had a baseball team or something. And like 8 of the starters were Irish.
Okay. So they
called them the Fighting Irish.
Okay.
And that's how it stuck. So the Peacocks would be interesting.
So the peacock was chosen because the beauty of Google and the internet. The peacock was chosen as the St. Peter's mascot in 1930 by then Dean Father Robert Gannon. The school had been closed for 12 years following World War I. The peacock was a phoenix-like symbol of resurrection, both for the school and its Christ-like education. Donahue saw many peacocks at Popcorn Park that reminded him of the St. Peter's team, such as the one that roamed near the bear cage unafraid. So the peacock walking around the bear's cage almost unaffected gave him this idea of like that would be a good mascot, and that's something good that would represent us. So there you go. So that's why they are the peacocks.
I think you would have a top. Okay, so let me ask you this.
Okay.
And this is the first thing I thought of. In 2022, you're starting a university. You have to come up with a nickname. Do you think peacocks flies?
In 2022? I don't see why not. I see what you're saying.
And I say flies, not by.
I mean, it does like Gamecocks, South Carolina Gamecocks.
That's what I was going with.
Yeah, I think it works.
Can you go with peacocks or Gamecocks now?
I think you can. I think you could. Only because, here's why I say that. Because there's very clearly a symbol. There's an animal. There's something that very obviously goes with it.
I get it. I don't know. I don't know if you could pull it off. I think it was a more innocent time back then. I don't think they'd allow it.
I think you could. So yeah, so part of it comes from the zoo that they went to, and they would see the peacocks roaming around freely with it. It was the only animal in the zoo that was not caged, was the peacock. And so there was this idea of, yes, that was kind of the driving force behind it. Really, really interesting.
There you go.
Learn something every day. Yeah, I think the mascot has made this story. Like if this story was,
I agree with you.
If this story was 5 times cooler, the mascot just makes it like 7. Like it just emphasizes.
Would you remember back once upon a time, it was, and I don't even know what they were called in Louisiana, the Raging Cajuns.
Yes.
Were all the rage.
Yeah. Just
because they were the Raging Cajuns. And how do you root against that?
No, I'm with you. So pretty cool. All right. Anything else before we go?
No, it's about all I got.
That was good. All right. Southern Columbia, we should tell you they are on. They're falling behind a little bit.
Bad end of a run.
They're down 13 here at the beginning of the 4th, so they're gonna have to press a little bit. They're gonna have to find a way to gain some possessions and get back into it here.
I will say,
go for it.
That has nothing to do with that. We are, as we're getting to April. We have obviously we have the Fool's Day.
Okay.
But we have the stuff. If you have not started if you're an allergy sufferer like me, if you've not started your nasal spray, your drugs, all those things, you've still got time because it's cold. Nothing's blooming yet, but get on it. But in April, we will have our like late spring, like kick into summer.
Okay.
Because I was thinking about this. I'll just give you the preview of it.
Okay.
Because I told you the other day, I'm doing a lot better with my intermittent fasting again.
Okay.
So you get into April, even if you just lose a pound a week,
okay,
and then you get through April, and then you get through May, it's like 9 weeks. Yeah. You've lost like 10 pounds between now and just from. So I think in April I'm going to go on like a no ice cream, no donuts.
Wow.
Just to try to get that healthy kickstart.
Okay.
Before. Because you don't want to wait till it's too late. Because by the time summer's here, you want to be in better shape than you were now. Because now it doesn't matter.
Sure.
So I think I'm going to go with an ice cream free April.
Wow. Interesting.
And not soda free. I can't do that. Okay. Because I have my limits.
Sure.
But you couldn't go soda free for an hour.
Who, me?
Yeah.
That's not true. I actually,
okay.
Just like a month ago, I think I did 2.5 weeks. I went almost 20 days without soda, just like a month or two.
Did you really?
I did really, really well.
I didn't know that.
Yes.
What were you drinking instead?
I had the Propel cases over here in the corner.
Okay.
And then I got into the Body Armor Light, which I actually enjoyed a lot. So I was doing well there for about 20 days. The problem though, like, just celebrations part. And here's the other thing. My drink of choice is Captain and Coke, like rum and Coke.
Okay.
So depending on holidays, birthdays, events, things like that, it is harder for me. Like if I'm going to enjoy myself and have a drink, it's harder for me to stay away from.
I have heard of people who have kind of tried to cut out soda.
Yeah.
Except when they're like, well, except in like mixed drinks.
Yes.
Because
hard.
As someone pointed out to me, you see, I'm not a drinker, so I don't get it. But I do get the concept. It's hard to have a rum and Coke without Coke.
It. Yes.
So I do get that.
Yeah.
But so you wouldn't be the only one in that boat.
Yeah.
I think that's a different kind of animal.
Sure.
To cut out caffeine and soda.
But I went to 20 days without even like I didn't have a drink, like I didn't have a soda, I know I can do it. It's really just, am I motivated? Does it kind of work around? Like Easter will be kind of hard for me because I'll have family around and we'll obviously be, getting together. And then May's tough. The weather gets nicer. everybody wants to go out. Everyone wants to start cooking outside. Like you just start getting into these environments where it's harder. Like if you are a just kind of a social drinker, it's harder to not give.
See, and that's why I'm thinking no ice cream in April.
Okay.
Because once it gets really warm,
you're gonna walk,
and you're like out for whatever. It's after
sense.
A baseball game, you're going to the ice cream store. So I'm just gonna cut it out now. And yes, the only day, Easter Day, has that. Not about just jelly beans and that crap, but
right.
There's the coconut cake and stuff like that. So if you could get around Easter, you can make it work.
Tastes like good, guys. I'm currently soda and ice cream free for about a year now, and I'm not seeing what I would call ideal results. So
wait,
it might not be worth it.
Do you think that's a truthful statement? Ice cream and soda free for a year?
It could be. It could be, yes. Knowing what I know about this person, it certainly could be. However, that doesn't mean they're it doesn't mean they're beer free, which I'm sure doesn't.
No, I get it.
You're not going to see great results if you're not beer free.
I mean, it just depends how much of it you take in.
Yeah. This person has one of the greatest lines I've ever heard. He used to refer to his weight as a contentometer. So he doesn't look at it as pounds on the scale. He looks at it as how content am I with my life? So if you see me and I'm like getting back into shape, then I have things in my life that I am not content with. However, if you see me and I'm round and jolly, I'm very content with life. Like things are going great if I'm round and jolly. So he refers to it as his contentometer. I knew you'd like
There's
that.
a brilliance to that.
I knew you'd like that.
There really is.
Yeah.
That is that's almost a bit right there.
Yeah, pretty good.
That is a comedy bit.
Yep. Contentometer.
And so he's not seeing the results. So does that mean if he's not seeing the results, where is his contentometer?
If he's not seeing the result, he's a pretty happy guy.
He's happy.
He's a pretty happy guy if he's not seeing the results. Thank you guys for watching the Midday Show. Thank you to Weiss Markets. And be sure to go to NorthcentralPa.com for all of your local news. Southern Columbia trying to mount a comeback here, down 12, 5 minutes to go.
You got
Good
Carolina tonight. You got a good feeling? What's your gut?
My gut is like, can I stay awake for the game? That's
my gosh, you're up to 1 all the time.
It's not going to end until but the last week's been it's been a weird week. So the goal for me is obviously I want Carolina to win.
Are they playing on Sunday? That's what I want to know. Yes or no? Is Carolina playing on Sunday?
I told you earlier. I think this is one of the high ceiling, low basement.
I know. It could go either way. What do you say?
We could have a chip on our shoulder and roll to the Final Four after what happened against Baylor and feeling cheated against the refs and everything else. I could also see us like we just knocked off the best team in the tournament. Like where even if we lose, that's a heck of an account. So I could see it going either way.
Is this the right time for me to tell you? I just looked over and see that my microphone's right over here.
Is it really?
I did not put my microphone.
Come on, Mark. Sees Jeff running. Oh boy, wonder what happened there. So there you go.
What?
Because the contentometer.
So seriously, I want to know a prediction. Are you playing Sunday?
Listen, Carolina the Final Four. I mean, that's
that's what your heart says.
Exactly.
Do you have a good feeling about tonight?
I do. We have not played this well all year long. We are playing at the highest level. Yes and no. I mean,
you could be that. It depends. You could be like, we can't play that well twice in a row. We're like,
but we've played that well. I mean, we knocked off Duke at Duke. We had a good.
You've been on a little roll.
We had a good opener again in the ACC tournament. We ran into a really hot, team in the ACC tournament, so I'm not so worried about that. I mean, we have been, and we rolled in the first round. Like we didn't just win in the first round. And here's the other thing too. We were rolling Baylor before like the referees kind of hijacked that game. So like we are, UNC Final Four. Like we have never been playing better than we have right now in probably a year and a half. It's been a while since we've been playing like this.
Well, there you go. So you feel, and as you said, what would be better this year than Duke Carolina in the Final Four?
A Duke Carolina Final Four. I think just college basketball fans have earned and deserve everything they've put up with, everything they've dealt with the NCAA. The karma gods should let it happen. There should be a Duke North Carolina Final Four game in Coach K's last season. It's only right.
Duke, Carolina, and St. Peter's. And then the other one, it doesn't even matter.
I don't think they can get there, though.
Is St. Peter's and Carolina?
I think St. Peter's is going to take on the winner of the Carolina UCLA game. I can look it up real quick if you want me to, but I'm pretty sure.
That sucks.
Because isn't it Purdue? Purdue, St. Peter's?
It's Purdue, St. Peter's.
So I'm pretty sure Purdue will play the
Nah, I hadn't thought that part through.
So,
oh, well. That's a little disappointing.
Yeah.
I mean, St. Peter, here's the thing, too. St. Peter's is in trouble tonight. Because when you have –
huge.
It's easier to, like, once you get that first round upset, they only have 24 hours to get ready for you. Purdue has now had a whole week to see all this film. And not only is Purdue bigger and better and just stronger and all those things,
yes,
they've also now have a really good coaching staff.
Doesn't matter.
Who've had 5 days to prepare.
That part doesn't matter. What matters, it doesn't, because it doesn't. Because here's the thing, you could give St. Peter's 1 day or 10 days. What you can't change is the fact that Purdue is the biggest team in the tournament.
No, I'm saying you've given Purdue.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
It does.
It doesn't. You could give Purdue 1 day or 10. The number of days between St. Peter's and Purdue does not matter. I'm not saying, listen, they're going to play the game. If St. Peter's wins, they win. I'm not saying like if they play it 10 times, St. Peter's couldn't win one. But the idea that the days in between with this matchup matter, I disagree with. Because Purdue is 7'4". The other guy is 6'10", massive. They have Jaden Ivey, who's a top 5 pick in the draft. Like, this is a matchup problem for, like, Kentucky's talented, but they're not a matchup problem. This is a matchup nightmare for St. Peter's.
But Kentucky was better because they were at 2. Purdue's at 3.
What's that? Yeah. Okay. Thank you guys for watching the show. I'm Jeff Everett. He's Mark Messina. We will see you next week.
Enjoy the weekend.